Hello everyone, welcome to this section of Eurozone characterization of normality, which is the second video based on this topic. So in this video, we are going to prove one supporting lemma for proving Eurozone characterization of normality. So which is a lemma 2. In this lemma, this lemma says that suppose we have a topological space X, then we consider a collection which is a subset of capital X and which is represented by some ft, t belongs to q. That means this collection is a countable collection, okay, and each ft will be a subset of capital X. So this collection is nothing but a countable collection of subsets of X, and which satisfies these four properties. Each ft is an open subset of capital X, and when you get t is less than 0 and t is rational, then ft will be empty. Then for t greater than 1, ft equal to capital X, and if we consider two elements s and t rational such that s less than t, then f is closure which is contained in ft. Suppose this collection have these four properties, then we define a function f of x equal to infimum of t set of all t belongs to q such that x belongs to t. Then we want to prove that this function f is continuous real valued function and which takes the values on close to double 0, 1. So which is actually this lemma can be considered as the converse part of the previous lemma 1. Okay. So how can you prove this lemma 2? Proof. So we need to prove that we have to define a function f of x like this. Then we want to prove that this function is a well-defined continuous real valued function which takes values on close to double 0, 1. And we can use these four properties to prove this one. Okay. So I consider this set as some gx. Okay. So let x belongs to capital X, comma, define gx is equal to set of all t in q such that x belongs to ft. Okay. So I define for every element in capital X, I define a new set gx which is denoted by this set of all t in q such that x belongs to ft. Okay. Then we need to define f of x equal to infimum of this collection, right? So this collection is defined by gx. So we have to define f of x equal to infimum of gx, right? We need to define f of x equal to infimum of gx. So when you define a function is equal to infimum of a set, we have to ensure that that set is bounded set or it has infimum. Okay. So for that, clearly you can see that gx will be a subset of real numbers because it is these elements are from rationals which is clearly a subset of real numbers. So a subset of real numbers has infimum only when it is bounded below, right? Non-empty bounded below. So I am going to ensure that our set gx is bounded below subset which is a non-empty bounded below subset. Okay. And we have by the third property we have for every t in q such that t is greater than 1, ft equal to capital X, comma, ft will be equal to the whole set capital X. So which means that when you consider any element in capital X, that will be belongs to ft, right? So which implies for every t in q such that t is greater than 1, for every x in capital X implies x belongs to ft, right? ഇത് രണ്ടും സെയിം ആണെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഇവിടെയുള്ള എല്ലാവരും ഇവിടെ ഉണ്ടെന്നാണ് അർത്ഥം. അപ്പോൾ ഏത് എക്സ് എടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ that x will also belongs to ft, right? So when t is greater than 1, x belongs to ft. When x belongs to ft, that t belongs to gx, right? So we have when t is greater than 1, every x belongs to ft. So which implies for every t greater than 1, that t will be belongs to gx. So which implies gx is a non-empty set because we can ensure a point in gx. When t is greater than 1, that t will be belongs to gx by the third property of ft. Okay. So gx is a non-empty set. And by the second property and also we have for every t in q such that t is less than 0, our ft is an empty set by second property, right? When t is less than 0, our ft is an empty set. Ft is an empty set means no elements of capital X belongs to ft, which implies no elements of capital X belongs to ft for any t less than 0. So which implies when there are no x belongs to capital Ft for t less than 0 means that t which implies x naught belongs to Ft for t less than 0. So when x naught belongs to Ft for t less than 0, that t cannot be belongs to gx, right? So which implies that t cannot be belongs to gx for t less than 0. So negative rational numbers where t is also belongs to q, okay? So negative rationals are not belongs to gx. Negative rational numbers not belongs to gx. So that I can say that gx-ലുള്ള എല്ലാവരും എന്താ പറയുക സീറോയിനേക്കാളും വലിയ നമ്പേഴ്സ് ആണെന്നാണ് ഇതുകൊണ്ട് ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്. ബിക്കോസ് നെഗറ്റീവ് റാഷണൽ നമ്പേഴ്സ് ഒന്നും ഇവിടെ ഇല്ല. ഈ സെറ്റിൽ റാഷണൽസ് മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ. നെഗറ്റീവ്സ് വരുന്നില്ല എങ്കിൽ ഓൾ ഓഫ് ദം ആർ പോസിറ്റീവ് നമ്പേഴ്സ്. സോ ദാറ്റ് ഐ ക്യാൻ സേ സീറോ ഈസ് എ ലോവർ bound for the set gx. So which implies gx is bounded below. Gx is bounded below. When the set have a at least one lower bound, it will be bounded below. So which implies gx is bounded below. Bounded below subset of real numbers R, and it is non-empty. So you know the completeness property of real numbers. Every non-empty bounded below subset of R has infimum in R. Therefore, by completeness property of real line, gx has infimum. Therefore, infimum of gx exists in R. Okay, infimum of gx is exists in R. So when infimum of gx exists, we can define it as a function. Now define a map f from capital X to capital X to 0 1 such that f of x is equal to infimum of gx. Okay, so which is equal to infimum of gx is set of all t in q such that x belongs to ft. Okay, so clearly this function is a well defined function because infimum of gx is a unique real number for corresponding to every x in capital X. Since for every x in x, infimum of gx is unique in R, therefore f is well defined. The function is well defined. And now we will prove that our function takes values on closed interval 0 1. Okay, now we will prove that the range of the function f is closed interval 0 1. We know for since 0 is a lower bound for gx, since f of x equal to infimum of gx, then f of x will be greater than or equal to 0. Right? f of x ആണ് infimum എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അതിലെ ഏറ്റവും greatest lower bound ആണ്, and 0 is an arbitrary lower bound. Therefore it must be greater than or equal to 0 for every x in capital X. Alright, now we will prove that f of x is less than or equal to 1 for every x in capital X. So now to show f of x is less than or equal to 1 for every x in capital X, if possible f of x is greater than 1 for some x in capital X. I consider the negation statement. Suppose f of x is greater than 1 by contradiction method, then what will happen? When f of x is greater than 1 for some x in capital X, what is f of x? By definition it is infimum of gx is greater than 1. So infimum of gx is greater than 1 means infimum of gx is a real number. So this is a real number which is greater than 1, and 1 is a real number. In between any two real number, we can consider a rational number by density theorem. So therefore by density theorem of real numbers of R, there exists a rational number R such that 1 less than R less than infimum of gx. In between 1 and the real number infimum of gx, there will exist a rational which is denoted by R. So which implies since R is greater than 1, r is greater than 1 by the properties of assumption, or we have by ft satisfies these properties, for t greater than 1 ft equal to capital X. Therefore here r is greater than 1, right? R is greater than 1. Therefore by property 3 we have fr will be capital X. When fr is equal to capital X, our this x, whenever there exists a number x in capital X such that fx is greater than 1, that x is also belongs to capital X, which implies for every x in capital X, that x is belongs to fr, because fr equal to capital X. So when x belongs to fr and r is a rational number, we have r is a rational number, x belongs to fr. When r is rational and x belongs to fr, that t or that r must be belongs to our gx, because gx is defined to be set of all t in q such that x belongs to ft. Here r has the property that r is a rational number and x belongs to fr. Therefore by definition of gx, this r must be belongs to gx. This r must be belongs to gx. I can write here since by definition of gx. So when r belongs to gx, r is an arbitrary element in gx, and then infimum of gx will be less than or equal to r. Why? R is an arbitrary element, therefore it must be greater than or equal to its lower bound or infimum. So infimum will be less than or equal to r. Is it possible? No, because we chose that r is less than infimum of gx, which is not possible, which is a absurd result, which is a contradiction. Therefore f of x cannot be greater than 1 for any x. So which implies for every x in capital X, f of x must be less than or equal to 1. So that which implies for every x in capital X we have 0 is less than or equal to fx and fx is less than or equal to 1, which implies f of x belongs to the interval closed interval 0, 1, which implies f is a real valued function from capital X to closed interval 0, 1. Okay. Now we need only prove that our function f is continuous. So we proved that for every x in x we defined f of x equal to infimum of this set, and we proved that f is real valued function and it takes values on closed interval 0, 1. Now we need only prove that our function f is continuous. Next our claim, f is continuous. F is continuous. To prove f is continuous, we usually prove inverse image of open set is open. But now we are going to prove that inverse image of subbase elements of range space is open. So we have the equivalent conditions of continuity by using subbases of a topological space. Suppose f is a function from x to y, where x and y are topological spaces, then f is continuous if and only if inverse image of subbase elements of y is open in capital X. So we have this condition. In order to prove f from x to closed interval 0, 1 is continuous, which is a subset of real line, right? So we need only prove that inverse image of subbase elements of this space is open. So since the left and right open rise form a subbase for real line, it is enough to prove that inverse image of them is open in capital X. So what are the left and right open base for real line? Which is nothing but you consider the real line. So suppose it is minus infinity to infinity, then interval of the form minus infinity to s is called left open rise, and s comma infinity is called, where s is an element in real line, it is called right open rise. Okay. Open intervals of the form minus infinity comma s and s comma infinity form the subbase for real line, right? So we need only prove that inverse image of this set, that is f inverse of this set and f inverse of this set is this open interval is open. Okay, so what is our claim? For every s in the real line, we will prove that inverse image f inverse of minus infinity comma s and f inverse of s comma infinity are open in capital X. Okay, so first I will prove that this set is open. So first claim, subclaim. Okay, subclaim 1, for let s in R define h is equal to f inverse of the interval minus infinity comma s, and which is equal to set of all x in capital X such that f of x belongs to this interval. F of x belongs to this interval means f of x is less than s. So we will prove that h is open. Okay, and how will you prove this h is open? In order to prove h is open, we will prove that h is a union of open sets. You know, arbitrary union of open sets is open. When you prove h is equal to union of some open sets, h will be open. So to prove h is open, we prove h is the union of open sets in capital X. Okay, so our subclaim 1 reduces to subclaim 1 is we prove h is equal to h is the union, arbitrary union of open sets. You know, by this lemma we have such kinds of open sets which are each ft is open in capital X for every t in Q. So I define h is equal to set of all ft such that t in Q and t is less than s, where s is a fixed real number. Okay, so if we prove h is equal to this collection, you know, each ft is open, union of open set is open. So we need only prove that h is equal to union of this set. So this h is contained in this union and this union is contained in h. That is we are going to prove. Okay, so I take an element, let x belongs to capital H. When x belongs to capital H implies when x belongs to capital H is equal to this. So when x in H, then f of x will be less than s. Then f of x will be less than s. When f of x is less than s, then infimum of f of x is also less than s. Sorry, not infimum of fx, infimum of gx will be less than s. By definition, f of x is defined to be infimum of gx, since f of x is equal to, by definition, infimum of gx. So when fx is less than s, then infimum of gx will be less than s. So what is infimum of gx? A real number. S is a real number. So between any two real number, there will exist a rational, right? So which implies there exists a rational number, rational q, such that q is less than s and that q belongs to gx, right? So when q belongs to gx, by definition of gx, that x belongs to fq. Q is rational. So whenever x belongs to fq, where q is less than s, means which this fq is a element in this collection. Q is a rational number, q is less than s, and therefore fq will be belongs to this collection. So that fq will be belongs to this union, right? So which implies x belongs to union set of all ft such that t in q such that t less than s, because fq is an element in this collection. Since fq will be belongs to the collection ft such that t in q and t less than s. So when you take x in h, then x will belongs to this union, therefore h will be contained in this union. Suppose equation 1. Now we will prove the reverse part. So I take an element in this union. So let x is an element belongs to this union ft such that t in q, t less than s. Okay. Then which implies x belongs to some ft, right? ft were t in q and t less than s for some t. So when x belongs to ft, that t belongs to t is a rational number, that t belongs to gx. Okay. So which implies when t belongs to gx, then by definition f of x will be less than t. When fx will be less than t but t is rational, that t belongs to gx. So which implies f of x will be less than t, and we know t is less than s, and we have t is less than s. So which together implies f of x is less than s. Okay, f of x is less than s. So when f of x is less than s, by definition, what is h? H is equal to set of all x in capital X such that fx is less than s. When you have fx is less than s, that x will be belongs to our h. So which implies x belongs to our h. So this union will be contained in h. From 1 and 2, these two sets are all equal. Which implies union collection ft, t in q, t less than s is equal to capital H. So H can be written union of this collection, and every element in this collection is an open set. Therefore H is union of open sets. Therefore H is open. So we proved that H is open. What is H? Inverse image of interval of the form minus infinity comma s, where s is a fixed real number. So left open race, inverse image of left open race in real number is open. Now we prove the right open race, inverse image of right open race is also open. So now we want to prove that inverse image of right open race is open. That is, for every fixed s in real number, I define k equal to this inverse set. And this is by definition, I can write set of all x and x is that f of x is greater than s. Okay. Now we want to prove that this k is open. To prove k is open, we claim that subclaim x minus k is closed. Actually, we prove when you want to prove a set is open, we will prove its complement is closed. We prove x minus k, its complement is closed in x. So how can you prove the set is closed in x? For that we assume, or we will prove that x minus k is intersection of ft closure such that t in q, t greater than s. If we prove this set is equal to this set, each closure of each set will be, every set will be closed set. Closure of any set is a closed set. Okay. And arbitrary intersection of closed set is again a closed set. So when you prove x minus k is equal to this intersection, this is a closed set. Therefore x minus k must be a closed set. Therefore k will be open. Right? So we will prove subclaim 2 x minus k is equal to intersection of this set. So I take an element, let x belongs to x minus k. So when x minus k means that x cannot be belongs to our k. What is k? K means set of all x in x such that fx is greater than s. So when x not belongs to k, this fx will be not greater than s. That means f of x will be less than or equal to s. Okay, so now I take an element, let t is a rational number such that t is greater than s. I choose rational number t such that t greater than s. Okay. Therefore, t greater than s, and we have s is greater than or equal to f of x. So which implies t will be or f of x will be less than t. Right? When f of x will be less than t, what is f of x? By definition, f of x is infimum of gx is less than t. So when infimum of gx is less than t, by previous thing or by similar part, infimum of gx is less than t, there will exist a rational number in between them, which implies there exists a rational q such that q will be less than t, and that q will be belongs to gx. When q is a rational number, q belongs to gx means that x belongs to fq. Okay, and we have what is the relation between q and t? We have q is less than t. Then by the fourth property of our lemma, assumption fs closure is contained in ft for s less than t. So since q is less than t, by property fq closure will be contained in what? ft. fq closure will be always contained in ft. And every set is all contained in its closure. For any set, that will be contained in its closure. So we have which implies x belongs to fq, okay, and you know every fq will be contained in its closure, fq closure, and by this one fq closure is contained in ft, and every set ft will be always contained in ft closure. So in all that we get x belongs to ft closure, okay. So therefore x belongs to ft closure for every t in rational, for every t in rational such that t greater than s. So when you choose a rational number t such that t greater than s, then x belongs to ft closure. So which implies x belongs to intersection ft closure such that t in q and t greater than s. That means എസ്സിനേക്കാൾ വലുതാവുന്ന ഏതൊരു റാഷണൽ നമ്പർ ടി എടുത്താലും കറസ്പോണ്ടിങ് എഫ് ടി ക്ലോഷറിൽ എക്സ് വന്ന് കിടക്കുന്നുണ്ട് എന്ന്. അപ്പോൾ ഇതിൽ ഏത് ടി ഈ തരത്തിൽ എടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാലും ഇതിലുണ്ട് എന്നർത്ഥം, എല്ലാ ഇൻ്റർസെക്ഷനിലും ഉണ്ട് എന്നല്ലേ. സോ വെൻ എക്സ് ബിലോങ്സ് ടു എഫ് ടി ക്ലോഷർ ഫോർ ഈച്ച് ടി റാഷണൽ സസ് ദാറ്റ് ടി ഗ്രേറ്റർ ദാൻ യെസ്, ദാറ്റ് എക്സ് മസ്റ്റ് ബി ബിലോങ്സ് ടു ഇൻ്റർസെക്ഷൻ ഓഫ് ദോസ് സെറ്റ്സ്. So which implies when you take x belongs to x minus k, then that x belongs to the intersection. That means x minus k is contained in intersection of ft closure such that t in q and t greater than yes. So suppose this is equation number 1. Now for the reverse part, I choose an element belongs to this intersection. Collection of all intersection of ft closure such that t in q, t greater than yes and t is greater than yes. Then this belongs to this intersection means it belongs to all of these ft closure. X belongs to ft closure for every t in q such that t is greater than yes. Okay. Now we want to prove that this x belongs to our x minus k. Now we want to get x belongs to x minus k. That is x belongs to x minus k means that is f of x belongs to f of x is less than or equal to yes. This is we want, right? When x not belongs to x belongs to x minus k means f of x is less than or equal to yes. So in order to get x belongs to x minus k, we want f of x is less than or equal to yes. So I take the converse part. Suppose f of x is greater than yes, then what will happen? If f of x greater than yes, so assume that f of x is greater than yes. Okay. So since f of x is a real number, s is a real number, I will choose two numbers in between these two elements. So now choose q comma t belongs to rational. I choose two rational number q and t such that s less than, q less than, t less than fx. Okay, in between s and fx I choose two rational number q and t. Okay, which implies I can write, yeah, q is less than fx, q is less than fx, right? When we have fx is less than t, then that x belongs to fq. That is our relationship. So from here I can write, so here we have t is less than fx, right? We have t is less than fx. When t is less than fx, then that x cannot be belongs to ft, right? Or when t belongs to rational and f of x is less than t implies x belongs to ft. This is our definition of ft. Okay, so here t is a rational number and t is a less than fx. Therefore that ax cannot be belongs to the corresponding ft. And you know, since q is less than t, by the fourth property of lemma, we have fq closure is contained in ft. So every element in this set will be contained in ft. Okay, so x is an element not belongs to ft, right? X is an element not belongs to ft. We have ft here, and inside ft we have fq closure. So x is an element not belongs to ft means this x cannot be belongs to fq closure also. So which implies x cannot be belongs to fq closure, right? X cannot be belongs to fq closure for every q greater than yes. Right. So x cannot be belongs to fq closure for every q greater than yes, comma q is a rational number. when I choose Q and T like this. So, is it possible? No, because we have chosen x belongs to this intersection. Therefore, x must be belongs to ft closure for every rational t such that t greater than s. Here q is the rational number such that q greater than s, but that x cannot be belongs to fq closure. So, which is a contradiction to our assumption. So that therefore fx greater than s not possible. F of x greater than s not possible. So which implies for every x in capital X, we have f of x will be less than or equal to s. So when fx is less than or equal to s, x belongs to x minus k. So which implies x minus k can be written intersection of all ft closure t in q t greater than s. These two sets are equal. And you know, closure of a set is always closed. Since ft closure is always closed, you know, intersection of closed sets is closed. Arbitrary intersection of closed sets is closed implies x minus k closed. When x minus k closed, its complement k is open in x. So we proved that inverse image of s comma infinity and inverse image of minus infinity comma s are open in capital X, which implies f is continuous. So we proved our lemma 2, which is a supporting lemma for proving unison characterization of normality.